Welcome to davidfouad.com. I'm your knowledgeable Winnipeg realtor, and I'm going to continue my discussion with you about the 3 most common condo questions I'm asked by buyers. In summary, these questions are pets allowed in the building? What are the monthly condo fees? And can I add ensuite laundry? We talked in the first video about pets. You got to meet my dog Rocco, and we talked about the pros and cons to having a condo that allows for pets. This video I'm going to focus on condo fees and what they're about. If you haven't seen the first video, please check it out. So, monthly condo fees. Think of a condo building like a big house. Every month, the condo corp has to pay their fees for heating, cooling, cable if it's included, their snow clearing, their yard clearing, the whole gambit of owning really a small business as a big building. They have to cover that cost on a monthly total amount. So many of these buildings, typically older ones, we see them a lot in the Wellington and Osborne village areas, multi-story, sometimes 20, 30-story buildings, but most of them between 4 and 11 stories. They have elevators, they have underground parking typically, surface parking as well. They're typically built of concrete, and they're older, built in the 50s or 60s. Many of these buildings have had to have their boilers replaced, their roofs replaced. Some have had to have their balconies replaced. And in these larger expenses, a condo corp has to decide, meaning the owners of the units have to decide, do we want to pay the majority of the costs out of our slush fund, which is the reserve money that people contribute into every month? Do we have enough money to pay for this repair? Do we want to instead do a system where we increase the monthly contribution to the reserve fund for a set amount of time, then pay for the repair? Or do we just do an installment as an assessment? So maybe the cost to replace a balcony is $15,000. They say, well, we'll give you 4 quarterly payments you can do in order to pay your contribution for this repair. So that's all borne on the owners and how they decide within the condo corp. So talking about the older condos, we see usually a centralized mechanical system where you have a centralized boiler, centralized air conditioners, centralized water, electricity. Well, electricity is usually metered per unit, but for the rest of them, they're typically centralized in the basement or the air conditioner on the roof, etc. And with that, you have a more fixed monthly payment. It's also a bit higher because you're paying for all those utilities in one. So as a condo owner, you'd have your monthly condo fees, you'd still have to pay your property tax separately, your insurance, which is usually really low for a condo, your individual insurance, and your financing costs if you have a mortgage or you're paying or you own it outright. Those are all your costs. So a monthly condo fee is over and above your typical housing costs. So a lot of these older buildings were originally converted from an apartment style rental building, and that's why they had centralized utilities, because the owners of the building, meaning the landlord or the developer, paid for all of those every month and just charge a fixed rent to the tenants. And because there were tenants that needed laundry facilities, these older buildings have usually a centralized laundry room in each floor. The newer buildings, on the other hand, they have a decentralized utility system. So a lot of the buildings you see in the south end of the city in St.Vital and even River Park South, you'll see a lot of them in the south end of St.Anne's and St.Mary's along the perimeter almost. Those buildings were mostly built by house builders, so the construction is usually a wood construction with steel bracing, or framing I should say, not concrete to save on cost. And because of that, they're usually not as tall as the older buildings. So the cost for buying a newer condo usually is attractive to buyers because they're newer buildings, they have the newer amenities, you have laundry in your suite, You have your own furnace system, your own air conditioning system. So it's like living in a house. And monthly, you save on your cash flow. Technically you can, because it's seasonal. You're not going to be paying as much or any heating costs in the summer. So your cost for that goes down, but you might have air conditioner. Again, it all depends. So you have a variable cost for your utilities and typically a lower monthly condo fee for the newer buildings. I hinted towards ensuite laundry, and that'll be the third question I'm going to talk about in the third video. So that being said, condo fees are a sensitive topic. It affects people's cash flow. It is the most popular question I'm asked out of all three of those condo questions. This is a document that I prepared for a condo I have for sale on Wellington Crescent at 99 Wellington, which is called Edinburgh House. They have condo fees that seem a lot higher than most buildings. And the reason why is for many of the reasons we talked about. It's a luxury building, lots of things are covered in the condo fees. In that document, I itemized each individual cost and for how much of the condo fees going towards that thing. So 2 parking spots, it's such amount. Your valet parking and staffing for security is that much per month. Your heating is that much per month. And what that has allowed me to do is demystify the cost of having a condo in comparison to a house. As house owners, we sometimes forget the costs we have in repairs. We might have to replace a roof for $6,000–7,000. We might have to change the furnace for a couple $1,000. And because that's a one payment thing that we paid, say in 2011 or 2012 or whatever year it was, it's not a monthly commitment. We forget about it. It's out of mind, out of sight. But with a monthly condo fee, it's putting things in the forefront of the owner, and they're reminded every month of their cost, and it becomes a thing, like a stigma. So that's why I create that document, to demystify the cost for a lot of the condos and bring it back to reality and allow people to compare that from a house to an older condo, a house to a newer condo, an older condo to a newer condo. So I hope this helped to expand your mind, demystify the things about condos and their costs. I hope this advice was useful to you. I look forward to working with you in the future, and I hope this fantastic advice was good Fouad for thought. I apologize for this video being a bit longer. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.